Good morning, friends. I trust that you are enjoying your worship from home this morning. Things are beginning to ease up a little as we slowly emerge from our lockdown experience. You know, the last time we met together in person was Sunday the 15th of March. So today is the 15th Sunday of online worship. We have had to learn quickly and adapt our ministry to these very strange circumstances. But I have to say that everyone has rallied round magnificently. The contributions from within the core family and from our friends further afield have made our Sunday virtual meetings very special indeed. And a special thanks from me to the social media and tech team. I say that every week, but Philip, Stuart, Fiona, Bethany, Laura, thank you for all that you do to produce the content for our virtual meeting every week. I really do appreciate all that hard work. God bless you. And now to our reflection for today. Now, last week we began our series looking at the fruit of the Spirit, with a consideration of that key characteristic of love. This morning, we look at the second trait in Paul's list, joy. Joy is variously described as a positive or pleasant emotion, delight, gladness, contentment, and cheerfulness. And I suppose if I was painting with a broad brush this morning, these words would seem appropriate. However, the joy that Paul speaks of, and he speaks of it often in his writings, while reflecting some of those traits I mentioned, actually goes much, much deeper. For Paul, joy was not subject to circumstance. It was not simply related to feeling good about life. No, for Paul, deep joy came from his relationship with Jesus. Jesus was the source of his joy. Paul had learned that the presence of Jesus in his everyday existence brought a freedom from anxious worries and fears. Living under the kingship of Jesus meant that joy was always present. Where Jesus is, there is joy. And did Jesus not tell his followers, "Surely I am with you always, to the very end of the age"? His promised presence, everywhere and always, is a deep source of joy. Now, in a reading from Paul's joyful letter, the letter to the Philippians, he sums it up beautifully in Philippians 4:4. Rejoice in the Lord always. I will say it again, rejoice in the Lord. Now that's a key phrase for me. It's our union with Jesus that is the source of our joy. Albert Osborne, Poet General of the Salvation Army, in his song Spirit of Eternal Love, put it like this: "Thus supported, even I, knowing thee forever nigh, shall attain that deepest joy, living unto thee." We find our deepest joy in him. Because of our identity as Jesus' people, we can possess a joy that rises above circumstance and turns our heart and eye to him. With this joy in our lives, we can be thankful in every circumstance, even in the midst of sorrow or suffering. In the Old Testament book of Nehemiah, we read the phrase, "The joy of the Lord is my strength." And that telling phrase reminds us that our joy comes from who he is and from what he has done for us. No matter what trials we might face in this world, we have his joy. And Paul would have been so familiar with the Nehemiah story, but he could now view the joy of the Lord through the prism of Calvary and Pentecost. Paul knew that the agony of the cross brought the joy of Easter morning, and that joy was complete. Paul tasted this for himself. He was familiar with suffering. He was beaten and imprisoned on more than one occasion. Yet somehow in the midst of it all could find joy. You remember the story from the Philippian jail. Having been badly beaten, Paul and his companion Silas, in the deepest dungeon, sung songs at midnight. I believe those songs were songs of joy because the presence of Jesus was with him. And Paul understood that as a follower of Jesus, life's struggles, either with external circumstances or internal anxieties, could be endured because of the constant presence of his Lord. He was never alone, for Jesus was always near. So for us, the evidence of a joyful life is surely our willingness to bring everything to the Lord in our prayers. And Paul actually encourages us in that reading to pray with thanksgiving. And of course that thanksgiving comes from the realization that Jesus is right there. He is the reason to be thankful. So joy is a fruit of the Spirit. It is evidence of Christ within. Let his presence awaken that deeper joy in your life today. Let the anxieties and cares melt away as you acknowledge his constant presence, always and in all things. Allow me to pray. Loving Lord, we thank you for the indwelling presence of Jesus, who brings deep joy to our lives. And we thank you for the hope of the gospel. May we allow your joy to radiate through us so that others may see you in us. In Jesus' strong and precious name, we make this prayer. Amen. Well, may God continue to bless you as you worship him from home.